Hello, yesterday I was surprised by a package from Böker with this knife. It was supposed to arrive by the end of this month or beginning of October, but as I said, it already arrived yesterday, which is nice. This is the Böker Plus BB. It's designed by Jesper Voxnaes and based on one of his custom designs. And it's produced by Böker Plus. And at first I was a bit skeptical because I had some mixed experiences with Böker Plus, especially in the folding knives, but this knife turned out to be really well done. It is legal in most places all over the world because it's slip joint, so it can only be opened with two hands, either by the nail nick or with a pinch grip. It has a 90-degree stop, and then you open it all the way up, and it doesn't have a locking mechanism at all, but the detent is really strong. And the blade is very short as well. It's under 3 inches, so it makes it legal mostly anywhere. Speaking of the blade, it's made out of VG10, as you can see here. It is relatively thick for the size of the knife, with 3.8 millimeters, which makes it quite robust. It won't be the best slicer in the world, but has a very robust blade. And the sharpening, let's look a bit closer, should be relatively easy. The edge goes up until here. You can see the straight line from there, so I guess even people with some clamp systems should be able to sharpen them, but I cannot really tell because I either use whetstones or belt grinder. The handle is interesting, and I will come to that later again, but for now I will just say it's made out of, I want focus, yeah, here we go. It's made out of titanium liner and bolster. It's an integral design, so the liner and bolsters are one piece, and then on top you have G10 scales in black. Same on the other side. It has a good design for the hand, so 3 fingers go on the bottom and your index finger on the bolster. So this way you have a comfortable grip. And the clip on the other side looks really nice. Also very ergonomic, because when you use this grip as I described, then your middle finger goes here in this groove and your index finger on top. So basically this hump in the middle is not in the way. So very ergonomic clip. The downside is it's only right side and tip down only carry. So this might be a bummer for some people because it's only in one position. Overall, the knife is quite wide and thick for its size. So let's compare it to the Spyderco Pingo, which is designed by Vox and Anso and produced by Spyderco. So you can see that the blade and the overall thickness is much wider and thicker on the BB than on the Pingo. The Pingo is also a slip joint, world legal knife. Yeah, it's a bit longer overall, but I would say that the blade is a little bit more useful on the BB because the actual cutting edge The pingo starts only from here, which makes it really short compared to the 6.5 centimeters on the BB. Another interesting aspect is when you compare it to, let's say, the Spyderco Delica, which is quite a popular knife. You can see overall the Delica is quite a bit longer, but when you only compare the effective cutting edges, you can see that they are almost identical. So that means that the BB has a very good blade to handle ratio. It's almost, because it goes all the way to the bottom when it's closed. So even though it's a short knife, but a lot of this short knife goes into the blade. And another interesting thing is that for all the screws, from the pivot to the scale screws and also the pocket clip, come on, it uses one size for all, namely Torx T6. And this is actually the most interesting part of the knife. That's also why I chose the Pingo for comparison, because the Pingo is very popular because it's often modified, because the scales are relatively easy to make in different materials and whatnot. But in order to make different scales, you actually have to take apart the knife completely, because if you take apart the scales away, you have the knife pretty much falls apart. Here on the other hand, due to this construction with the titanium liner bolster thingy, you just have to unscrew the G10 scales and the rest of the knife stays intact. I will show you just. Okay, here we go. You can see, took the scales off, at least the one side, and you can see the rest of the knife stays intact. Underneath, the titanium is screwed onto the back of the blade. And here you can see it's a thin but flat on both sides piece of G10, so it's relatively easy to make your own scales and to customize the knife. And this is what I plan to do with this knife. And it's relatively quickly, just with a Torx screwdriver, so you can have a few different sets of scales and you can replace them within a minute or two. And if you want to take it a step further, as I said, the liner and the bolster is made out of titanium, so for people who want to really go crazy with modifications, you can anodize the bolsters and then do some custom scales on it, which is really interesting. Okay, and that's it. Thanks for watching.